I found out on the day that was supposed to change my life forever. Not because someone warned me. Not because I went looking. I found out because my brother couldn't hide it anymore. And neither could she. I still remember the exact second everything collapsed. The room was filled with laughter, music leaking in from outside, the smell of flowers and perfume mixing in the air. My wedding suit felt tight around my chest, not because it didn't fit, but because something was wrong and I couldn't name it yet. I saw my brother standing near the door, pale, his hands shaking slightly, unable to look me in the eyes. And behind him, reflected in the mirror, I saw my fiancée adjusting her dress, her face frozen, as if she already knew the truth was about to surface. In that moment, before a single word was spoken, my entire future cracked open. I didn't scream. I didn't ask questions. I just stood there, feeling my heartbeat in my ears, knowing that whatever I was about to learn would ruin everything I thought I knew about love, family, and loyalty. It hadn't always been like this. When I first met her, my life felt simple. I was in my early 30s, stable, confident that I understood who I was and what I wanted. She came into my life quietly, almost accidentally, through a mutual friend. She wasn't loud or flashy. She listened more than she spoke, and when she smiled at me, it felt personal, intentional. I remember thinking that she saw something in me that others missed. Our relationship grew slowly, naturally. We talked about everything. Our fears, our childhoods, our plans for the future. She told me about her complicated family, about the secrets that lingered in her past, things she said she had buried long ago. I believed her. I believed every word, because I wanted to. Because loving her felt easy, and I trusted that ease. My brother was always there too. He had always been there. Growing up, he was my shadow. We shared a room, shared clothes, shared secrets. He was younger than me by 3 years, but sometimes it felt like he was older, sharper, more confident. He had a way of attracting attention without trying. People gravitated toward him. I had learned early on that being his older brother didn't mean being the center of anything. When I introduced her to my family, she fit in effortlessly. My parents adored her. My friends admired her. And my brother became unusually attentive. At first, I saw it as kindness. He asked if she needed help, if she felt comfortable, if everything was okay. He joked with her, teased her, made her laugh in a way that felt harmless. I never questioned it. Why would I? He was my brother. She was the woman I planned to marry. Looking back now, I realize how blind I was. How many small moments I dismissed. The way conversations would stop when I entered the room. The way she would glance at her phone and quickly lock the screen. The way my brother suddenly started showing up more often, staying longer, finding excuses to be around us. I told myself I was imagining things. I told myself that trust meant not overthinking. When I proposed, she cried. Real tears. She said yes without hesitation. She wrapped her arms around me like she was afraid I might disappear. That night, she told me she had never felt so safe. I remember holding her, feeling proud, feeling chosen. I had no idea that safety, for her, came from someone else too. The months leading up to the wedding were chaotic but happy, or at least that's how I remember them now. Planning, arguing about details, laughing about silly things. My brother offered to help with everything. He handled logistics, errands, last-minute problems. He was always available. Always too available. There were moments when I felt something cold crawl up my spine. Once, I came home earlier than expected and found them sitting close together on the couch. They jumped apart like teenagers caught doing something wrong. She laughed it off, said they were talking about a surprise for me. My brother backed her up instantly. I felt embarrassed for even feeling suspicious. I apologized to them, like I was the one who had crossed a line. Another time, I overheard my brother on the phone late at night. His voice was low, tense, emotional. When he noticed me, he hung up abruptly and said it was nothing, just stress. I believed him. Because believing was easier than facing the possibility that something dark was growing right under my nose. The night before the wedding, I barely slept. Not because I was nervous, but because I felt restless. There was a weight in my chest I couldn't explain. She texted me goodnight, said she loved me, said she couldn't wait to be my wife. I read the message over and over, letting those words calm me, anchor me. I had no idea she had sent a similar message to my brother that same night, filled with guilt and longing, words that didn't belong to me. The morning of the wedding was a blur. People rushing around, laughter, excitement. My brother arrived early, dressed perfectly, but something about him was off. He avoided my gaze, his jokes fell flat, his smile looked forced. I asked him if he was okay. He said he was just emotional, happy for me. I clapped him on the shoulder, grateful to have him by my side on such an important day. It was only minutes before the ceremony that everything unraveled. I was in a quiet room, trying to steady my breathing, when my brother walked in and closed the door behind him. The silence between us felt heavy. He didn't sit down. He didn't smile. He just stood there, staring at the floor, like a child about to confess to something unforgivable. He said my name softly, and my stomach dropped. There are moments in life when you know, before hearing the words, that whatever comes next will change you forever. This was one of them. He told me he couldn't let me walk down the aisle without knowing the truth. His voice broke as he spoke. He said it started months ago, that it wasn't planned, that it just happened. He said he tried to stop it, tried to end it, but they kept getting pulled back to each other. Every sentence felt like a blade, cutting deeper, exposing a hidden truth I had never imagined. I remember asking him who. Even though I already knew. Even though the answer was burning in my chest. When he said her name, it felt unreal, like hearing it in a dream. I laughed at first. A hollow, broken sound. I told him it wasn't funny, that this wasn't the time for jokes. He started crying, and that's when I knew it was real. My legs gave out and I sat down, staring at the wall, trying to breathe. My brother kept talking, apologizing, explaining, but his words blended together into noise. All I could see was her face. All I could feel was betrayal spreading through my body like poison. I demanded to see her. I needed to look into her eyes and hear the truth from her mouth. When she walked into the room, still in her wedding dress, makeup perfect, she froze when she saw my expression. She knew. She didn't ask what was wrong. She didn't pretend. She just started crying. She admitted everything. She said it started as emotional support, turned into something else, something they didn't expect. She said she loved me, but that what she felt for him was different, confusing, forbidden. She talked about guilt, about trying to choose the right path, about being afraid to hurt me. Every word felt like an insult. Like she was trying to soften a betrayal that had already destroyed me. Standing there, between the woman I loved and the brother I trusted, I realized I was surrounded by family secrets I had never been meant to uncover. A hidden truth that had been growing in the shadows of my life, laughing at my faith, mocking my loyalty. I don't remember how long we stood there. Time lost its meaning. Outside, guests were waiting, unaware that the wedding they came to celebrate was already dead. Inside, I was breaking apart in ways I didn't know were possible. I walked out of that room alone. I left them behind, still crying, still trapped in their own mess. When I faced my parents and told them the ceremony was cancelled, their faces collapsed in confusion and shock. I didn't explain. I couldn't. The words felt too heavy, too shameful, too painful to share. That day ended without vows, without celebration, without closure. But the real ending didn't come that day. It came later, in the silence that followed, in the nights I spent replaying every moment, every sign I had ignored, every lie I had believed. The betrayal didn't just take away my fiancée. It shattered my relationship with my brother. It poisoned family gatherings, created distance that words couldn't bridge. Even now, when I think about that day, I feel the same tightness in my chest, the same disbelief that the people closest to me were capable of hurting me so deeply. And the worst part isn't that they were together. It's that they looked me in the eyes every day, smiled, promised loyalty, and built a dark past behind my back, knowing that one day, the truth would surface. This is only the beginning of what happened next. Because what followed the wedding day was even darker, more complicated, and forced me to confront parts of myself I didn't know existed. After the wedding was called off, the world didn't stop the way I needed it to. People went back to their lives. Messages kept coming in. Phones kept ringing. And I was left alone with a silence that screamed louder than any argument ever could. The first night after everything fell apart, I slept on the couch. Not because I couldn't reach the bedroom, but because the bedroom still smelled like her. Her shampoo lingered in the pillows. Her clothes were still hanging in the closet, untouched, like ghosts of a future that would never exist. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise, replaying every moment of the past 2 years, searching desperately for the exact second my life had split in two. My brother tried to reach out the next day. I ignored every call. Every message. Seeing his name on my phone made my stomach turn. This wasn't just about a forbidden relationship. This was betrayal layered on top of betrayal, wrapped in family secrets that I was never supposed to uncover. She sent long messages too. Apologies, explanations, confessions. She said she never meant for it to go that far. She said she loved me. That word felt contaminated now. Love, to me, had always meant safety. Loyalty. Truth. And suddenly, it meant lies whispered in the dark while I was building a future alone. A week later, my parents came over. They looked older, smaller, like the weight of what happened had aged them overnight. My mother cried quietly, asking what she had done wrong. My father barely spoke, staring at the floor, trying to understand how his family had shattered so completely. That was when another hidden truth surfaced. My father told me this wasn't the first time my brother had crossed a line. Years ago, when we were teenagers, there had been another incident. Another girl. Another betrayal. Back then, my parents had handled it privately, quietly, believing they were protecting the family. Protecting me. But all they really did was teach him that consequences could be buried, that dark pasts could be hidden if no one talked about them. Hearing that hurt almost as much as the affair itself. It meant this wasn't just a mistake. It was a pattern. And I had been the last one to see it. Days turned into weeks. I stopped answering calls. I stopped showing up to family dinners. I felt like an outsider in my own life. Friends tried to support me, but their words sounded empty. They didn't understand the depth of it. Losing a relationship is painful. Losing trust in your own blood is something else entirely. Eventually, she showed up at my door. I didn't invite her. I didn't want to see her. But there she was, standing on my doorstep, eyes swollen, makeup gone, looking smaller than I remembered. For a moment, my heart betrayed me. Old instincts kicked in. I wanted to pull her inside, protect her, fix things. And then I remembered everything. She said she needed closure. That word again. Closure felt like another excuse. Another attempt to make herself feel better. She admitted she had been in love with my brother longer than she ever admitted to herself. She said being with me felt stable, safe, right on paper. Being with him felt dangerous, intense, irresistible. Hearing that made something inside me go numb. I realized then that the man she loved wasn't me. It was the version of me that made her life easier. I asked her why she said yes when I proposed. She hesitated. That hesitation was the loudest answer she could have given. After she left, I sat alone in the dark, realizing that my entire relationship had been built on half-truths. On comfort, not commitment. On illusion, not honesty. That realization didn't bring relief. It brought grief. Grief for a love that never truly existed. My brother eventually confronted me in person. He waited outside my apartment for hours until I finally opened the door. He looked broken, but I couldn't tell if it was guilt or fear of losing me. He said he was sorry more times than I could count. He said he hated himself. He said he would do anything to fix this. I told him some things can't be fixed. I told him that trust, once shattered, doesn't come back the same. That even if I forgave him someday, I would never forget. That every family gathering, every shared memory, would forever carry the shadow of what he did. He cried. I didn't. Letting go of my brother hurt in a way I can't fully describe. He wasn't just my sibling. He was part of my identity. Cutting him out felt like cutting out a piece of myself. But keeping him close felt like reopening a wound that refused to heal. Months passed. Slowly, painfully, I started rebuilding. Not the life I had planned, but a new one. I moved to a different place. Changed routines. Met new people who didn't know my story. People who saw me without the weight of betrayal in their eyes. And yet, the past followed me. In quiet moments. In sudden memories. In dreams where I was back in that room on my wedding day, watching everything fall apart again. The biggest lesson I learned wasn't about love. It was about self-respect. About listening to the discomfort I used to silence. About understanding that family secrets don't protect anyone. They only delay the damage. I don't know if my brother and she are still together. I stopped asking. Some truths don't deserve space in my life anymore. What I do know is that betrayal changes you. It strips away innocence. It forces you to grow in directions you never chose. Today, when I think about that wedding day, I no longer feel just pain. I feel clarity. I see how close I came to building a life on a lie. I see how the shocking discovery, as devastating as it was, saved me from years of quiet suffering. If you're listening to this and you've ever ignored a feeling that something wasn't right, don't. Pay attention to the silence. To the pauses. To the moments that don't add up. Because the truth always finds a way out. And when it does, it changes everything. If this story resonated with you, if you've lived through betrayal, forbidden relationships, or uncovered family secrets you never wanted to know, subscribe to the channel. Like this video so it reaches more people who need to hear stories like this. And share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes, telling the truth is the first step toward healing.